Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us once again. I cannot wait to introduce our guest to you. But before I do, I want to thank some people that we always thank. We want to thank brassandwinds.com, a Quinn the Eskimo company. At the Willow School, we teach brass and woodwinds, and we always go to Brass and Winds first when we're looking for an instrument. We think you should too. They're fantastic people. Check them out at brassandwinds.com. You're watching Truer MU, the truth about music. Check our YouTube channel out for instruction on how to play jazz piano if you've never played before. Fantastic interviews with people like Sean Mullins and Mother's Finest, and various and sundry other things that you might find interesting. Now, without further ado, I want to tell you a little story. When I was at Oberlin, I wanted to be, as a singer, Lamont O'Neil. He was everywhere. He was the man. You would go to a party at night and he would be singing Stevie Wonder Superstition, and then he'd bust into some jazz, and everybody went nuts. There he is on camera now, but he has to let me finish because this is my show. See, he was fantastic. It was crazy great. Everybody was talking about him. He went on to work with the Oberlin Jazz Ensemble, and I just couldn't wait to see where he was heading next. I caught up with him just a couple weeks ago, and I was fascinated by where his journey had taken him, and I wanted him on my show. So before I introduce him formally, Lamont O'Neil is a New York educator and the praise and worship leader for the Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn. He's the founder of the male step ministry of Nubian Gents and the female team Feminine 5. Lamont O'Neil, welcome to our show.
Hey, thank you so very much. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you and to see you again after all this time.
Great to see you as well, Adam.
So what I want to do is I want to talk about your journey, where you started, where you thought you might be going, and where you ended up, because it's pretty interesting stuff. So let's start with, I did a little research on you, of course. Before I met you, you were at George Gershwin Junior High School, and I thought, you being musical and George Gershwin being such a musical name, that place must have had a great music program, but it didn't, did it?
It really did. Well, they had a music program there. I just wasn't a part of it. They had a vocal, like a vocal class or something like that. I remember being mesmerized as I walked past the classroom and heard the chorale singing. And I was indeed kind of inspired to the extent that I wasn't a part of the music program, but I joined an after-school course, which actually revolutionized my whole concept of music and just life. It was a gospel choir after school that George Gershwin had there under the direction of Robert Newton, the late Robert Newton. And it was just an amazing experience. One, because he was a phenomenal teacher that taught life, didn't teach, gospel music or choral singing. He taught life. And utterly affected my life. He adopted me as one of his sons, which at that place and time in my life was something that was so, so needed. I was estranged from my father from a very young age. So I was really looking to be fathered and to have that type of security and that feeling of covering that I just wasn't getting from growing up in a household with my mom and my sister. And he took me in. He had two sons of his own, and when I say he adopted me, he took me
legally
around.
Adopted you?
Well, not legally adopted me, but definitely spiritually adopted me.
Gotcha.
Took me around whenever he was, teaching his sons to play baseball or how to swim and what have you. He would just take me around, and it was great. It was really great. That was the extension of the music. That became the musical experience for me. Just being a part of that family, and then just having a father, having a surrogate as he may be, having a father, and it just really healed a lot of places in my life that I think could have been catastrophic had he not stepped in when he did. So
I'm really glad you got that healing early. That's really terrific.
Thank you, sir. So it's a process. It's a process. Healing is a process. That is for sure.
The earlier you could get started on it, the better.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. Very true.
You actually got a chance to go to Phillips Exeter Academy in New Hampshire from there, and that's a very high-profile school. What was the experience there?
It was an amazing experience, but amazing doesn't always mean that it was a great experience. It was It was a trying experience in that it forced me, and I went kicking and screaming. It forced me to step out of my comfort area in basically every facet of my life. I mean, I can't say that academically I was prepared for what Exeter was. So the pressures that came from having to sort of make up the gap of what the public school system, New York City public school system, just could not have prepared me for, was enormous. And then that coupled with the just the strange, the racial divide, the economic divide, the emotional, psychological effects of that. It was enormous. It was really enormous. We, as a the African American students that were on campus, the Afro Latino students that were on campus, we bound together and created a community of support because it was so needed. It was definitely needed. And some did make it, and that means a lot of things, not just didn't make it through Exeter, some didn't make it. But a lot of us did, and we're still very, very close. Having gone through that experience together, we're very, very soul bonded, I guess you could say. But I definitely would not change that experience because it truly has, I'm still drawing fruit from it. I'm still benefiting from what I had to go through, personally. I am, it's wonderful. It's marvelous. I mean, yeah, there were some scars, there were some bumps and bruises along the way, but it definitely has contributed to the man that I am today. And, I'm thankful for that.
Let me ask for a little clarification there. Now, some challenges are challenges that are good for you, even though they're unpleasant. And some challenges are just unpleasant and you get through them and you grow from them, but you wouldn't wish them on anyone.
Well, you know what? I tend to believe that there's a blessing in every, there's a blessing in every lesson, no matter what. So even one of the things I learned from Exeter, if I'm still alive, if I made it through, then that's a blessing. You know what I'm saying? And there's amazing lessons that I'm going to walk away from and walk away with, no matter how much of a crisis situation or traumatic situation that it was. So, and it's all about perspective. I've learned to really modify my perspective on life and on the things that happen in my life or around me as I watch the world around me. I have a, because if not, especially, if you don't learn to see higher than the situation that you're in, you'll never resolve you can never resolve a problem on the same level in which it was created. You got to see higher. You got to learn to see higher. I've just practiced that all my life, and I think I'm better for it. I don't look like what I've been through, and I don't move and interact like what I've been through. And I think that's because of my perspective on life. You can go through stuff and it just traumatize you and affect your output, and you just become so cynical and just negative and despondent. No, that's not going to benefit anyone, nor it's not going to benefit you. Catch the perspective. So yeah, you might have gone through a pretty bad situation. That might have been a real tough time. That might have been a real tough season, but you're alive. You're still here. That says a lot, that says a lot. And that gives you all the more reason to take the rest of your life and, and do it better and make it better and affect others and give to others, better, to make them better, to encourage them to be better. So, yeah.
One of the things that took you to the next level was a trip during that time to Spain. Will you talk about
you have done your homework.
Right. Tell me what that trip to Spain did for you.
Wow, that trip to Spain was crazy. That trip to Spain was amazing. I went to SY, it was school year abroad program while I was at Exeter. I went my last year of Exeter, which was strange in and of itself because most of the kids, they want to spend their senior year on campus. I was ready to go. I was just like, I just wanted to leave. I was done. You know, some things had happened that had really sort of, again, affected my perspective. And I felt like I was just holding on. And in order to keep from drowning. I don't know if you remember, that was shortly, I went to school year abroad after Edmund Perry had passed back then there, where Eddie Perry had been killed. So, you know, having to deal with that trauma, the frustrations that I had, even the frustration with the Academy's response to it and all that, I was ready for something different. So I applied for school year abroad. I was a terrible Spanish student. So everybody was like, well, what are you going to do? Why? You're really awful. And I was like, no, but I really want to go. And I really believe that I can do this. I can do this. And I convinced them and was accepted into the program, went abroad, and just totally took the whole experience by the horns, man. I started, you know, I would just venture out and I was meeting people and, you know, I couldn't communicate with them, but I was like, it'll come soon enough. And, you know, oddly enough, I actually got a job there and started working in a bar. I was bartending. And that's how I expedited my understanding of Spanish, you know, just mixing drinks and talking to the guests, you know, the people that were there, that were coming there, and they would just tell me their drinks. And I knew I had to listen real carefully because, you know, you don't want to be like, what, you know, type of thing. So you want to keep it moving. So I had to really learn to listen. And I eventually found myself working at a jazz club there, singing. I joined a group that was performing at a place called La Cova del Drac. In Catalonia, is Catalan, La Cueva del Dragón, the Cave of the Dragon. And I got turned on to jazz, man. It was never looked back, actually. No, it was
talk about a situation where you need to learn to listen. There you go, right?
Oh yeah. So phenomenal experience being there in Spain.
Is that a coincidence? Is that a coincidence, do you think, that you went to a country where you had to listen so carefully and you ended up finding jazz? Is that a coincidence?
No, there are no coincidences in life.
I won't ask that question again. But talk about, about the synchronicity then.
It was absolutely right on time. And, you know, you look back, hindsight is always 20/20. You look back and you say, wow, you know, while I was going through it, I couldn't necessarily connect the dots. I didn't see the pieces coming together, but it makes so much sense now. You know, that was a time when my hearing was peaked. And, you know, sometimes there's a principle that says your ability to hear is your greatest asset in life. Your ability to hear is your greatest asset in life. And I believe that to be true. I was learning the language. I was learning the culture. I was learning how to exist in a foreign land, you know, and how to navigate social situations. And I was really young. I was still a teenager, working and learning, and it was phenomenal. And I found jazz during that time. I found my love for jazz music, and articulating it for the people and seeing their responses. And I learned a whole heap of songs. I mean, I think that was my first introduction to the real book. And I just started learning music and hearing these wonderful sounds and wonderful expressions of other people's souls, the essences of other people's souls. And I loved it. It was amazing. It was wonderful.
What's jazz like in Spain? Is it different?
The same. Now, these cats, there were some serious cats I met there. I was like, wow, you know, that could really, really play. And they just really had a love for the music. And I think that's one of the reasons why they embraced me, because of their love for jazz and their love for the African-American culture. They wanted me right there in the front. And I think in some ways they kind of saw it as they sort of legitimized their passions and their interest and their desire in the music. It was wonderful. It was great. And I just wrote it. I was like, yeah. Ooh, yeah, take me. I'm yours, and it was fun. But I really made some amazing friendships that I still have today, to this day.
Well, you went to Oberlin College next. Were you in the conservatory? I don't actually know. Were you in
No,
the
I
college?
wasn't in the conservatory. Nope. I continued on. I continued on with the language. So
Okay.
I majored in Hispanic studies.
Mhm.
I minored in philosophy.
And yet you were singing a lot. You were with the Oberlin Jazz Ensemble.
Yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, I was one of those ones that I was in the liberal arts college that they kind of said you cannot take any more classes, because they always had that weight of how many you could take and all of that. And they were like, oh no, you can't take any more classes in the conservatory and all this. I was like, oh, man, because I was like, God, this is amazing. I can take all these classes in the conservatory and not be in it and still be able to do all these other different things that I had interest in doing. And then they were like, nope, time's out. Can't do it anymore.
Well, you studied with Wendell Logan and Kenny Davis, both of whom, Wendell Logan, I didn't get to hang with much, but Kenny Davis definitely changed my life with his introductory improv class. It was my wake-up call. And you also introduced me to Charlotte Hunt, who was my voice teacher for a good year and a half. She's not listed on your bio, but I caught up with her just a few years ago, and she's doing
wow.
And
good stuff.
Talk about what these people taught you.
They taught me how to love through the music. Like, I don't know if you remember, like, sitting in an improvisation class with Kenny Davis. I mean, you talk with him, and he just had this hard kind of exterior, real kind of that type of thing. But man, in the realm of the music, you saw his heart. He loved us. He really loved us. And even just knowing all that he went through just to even be able to spend those early mornings with us, improvising and so forth, and just his tenacity, his persistence to keep reaching out to us and allowing us to see what he saw, which was amazing. Just to be able to see it, it was amazing, man. It was awesome. And Wendell, man, bro, I start thinking about Wendell. I'll start cutting onions. Wendell Logan, man. There's no words. There's no words. Just taught me how to love through the music, and it was great because there were times when I definitely didn't want to love, and I definitely didn't feel loved, and still, these gurus were able to usher us into a space and a place to, just experience, be overwhelmed, be consumed by love. It's awesome. Powerful, really powerful teachers, transformational teachers, in their own right. You didn't even know it. Like, I didn't even know, but looking back, I'm like, wow, they saw it, and they were striving to have us see it. Yeah. And it didn't matter where we were from. It didn't matter who we were, whether you were Black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever. It didn't matter. It was like, we became this new race, this new culture, and it was about the culture. It's the culture of the music. Much respect.
Yeah. I mean, Kenny Davis even loved me. He loved the incompetent. That was a special thing for me. That's where I got my very start, and I was welcomed in and allowed to play. So, I definitely felt what you felt, that the vision and the invitation.
Yeah.
You went back to Spain while you were at Oberlin. You took another trip. And
I did.
How was this one different?
I was in a different area. The first time I was in Barcelona, and the second time I was in Córdoba, the south of Spain, which was different. It was in much the same way the north is different than the south here in the States. There's definitely a difference in culture, difference in experience. I was older, so I I don't remember. I don't think no, I didn't have a family. I didn't stay with a family. So I didn't have that support network this time around. I was kind of sort of staying on my own, or staying at this particular location where we all sort of lived for a while. And then I ventured out and got my own sort of bistro, my own apartment. Um, it was a different experience. It wasn't, I didn't feel a strong sense of community in Cordoba. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I stayed that this particular stay was less. I think I stayed like a little bit over a year the first time I went. This time I think it was like maybe 6 months.
Yeah.
It was tough. It was tough. I actually encountered racism there for the first time, I think, like head on, which really affected me a lot in the South. I didn't see that. I don't remember seeing that in the North. I mean, when I was up in Barcelona, I'm not saying that it wasn't there, but I just don't remember seeing it. And I got jumped in a discotheque. It was this crazy situation, and then ended up getting thrown out of the discotheque because the bouncers thought I got jumped because I was selling drugs, and I was like, I was just here to dance, that type of thing. And but that just left a really bad taste that I think I carried for the rest of the time that I was there. It just made it difficult. But nevertheless, I did learn some amazing experiences while I was there. My Spanish did improve. I think I learned. I got a good dose of resilience, of how to be resilient, of how to overcome adversity, because this happened very early on. And I had several months remaining and had to figure out how am I going to get through these several months, because I said, I'm really jaded right now by this experience. I feel it. It's like I have to suppress the Hulk in me, because I'm angry right now. And I'm angry. I'm looking around like, were you the one that jumped me? Were you the one that jumped me? That type of thing. And
and you'd just been opened up to love too. You had just really been opened up like an oyster.
Yeah, it was
very
a setback.
vulnerable when you got hit.
Definitely a setback. Yeah, I didn't see it coming, and I didn't understand it. I definitely didn't understand it. It was it hit me square in the chest.
Let's talk about this work then. You're healed early on, right? You get some love early on that allows you to heal from very difficult beginnings. Then then you're welcomed into jazz, and then you're expected to show love and be open, and then you get jumped. So what a strange roller coaster you got. Now, how do you reconcile all of that when you get back?
Well, I think, definitely things leveled out once I got back into the States. You mean once I came back to the States, correct?
Well, in general, I guess. Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm looking back on that experience and I'm saying, how do I reconcile it? I would say, it was life. That's the way life is. Life is ebb and flow. One moment you're going, you're soaring, and then the next minute something happens that tries to totally like throw you off and what have you, or take you out, or take you off course. But nevertheless, you still got to persevere. Sometimes you have to reset like a computer. You have to realign yourself, return back to your mission, return back to that place, and return back to your first love. But it's a process, and it's all good. It's what life is, ebb and flow, and we experience it in stages and levels. So this was just a particular season that I had to go through. Yeah.
That's a great example. I'm sure you had ebbs and flows before, so it wasn't your first rodeo, really.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Well, when you left Oberlin, what were you thinking you were going to do? I mean, I assumed you would become a professional musician and kill it. What did you think that too?
I remember there was a period I was a little confused. I didn't know quite what I was going to do. So I kind of took stock and said, which direction do I want to go as my tenure at Oberlin was coming to an end. And the one thing that really, I had a love for the language of Spanish, for the culture. and I wanted to continue studying the language. And I remember I realized that like late, like I applied like super late for graduate school at Penn State. Because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And once I got it, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. Everything started falling into place. And it's amazing how sometimes, you know, when you're moving in purpose, like it's you'll find that there'll be resources that'll happen that'll keep propelling you in that direction. Everything was moving real slow. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll just go. Maybe I will go into music. Maybe I'll just go to school at all. I'll just go back to New York and just get a job. Everything's going real slow. But the minute I said, you know what? I love the language. I still love the culture. I want to study that more. I want to teach. Then it was like boom, 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 boom. And the next thing I know, one of the teachers at Oberlin said, you know, there's this guy I know at Penn State, and they have a couple of assistantships if you're interested. And I was like, yeah, you know, and before I knew it, I applied and I was in Penn State, and on my way there, had gotten this assistantship that was going to require me to teach undergraduate classes. And I was psyched about that. I was really psyched. Yeah.
So you become, at this point, as you teach in graduate school, you become an educator.
Yes.
And that's what you've remained at this point.
Yes. I am an educator.
So tell me, to what extent are you a musician, and to what extent are you a teacher?
Here's the thing. It's funny because I tend to believe that, you know, someone asked me to say, so how do you do, you know, you're a teacher, you know, you're a singer, you're dancing with the group, like the Feminine Nubian Gents, you know, all of that. And I said, well, what are you? What do you do? And I said, you know what? I do me. I just do me. And I see that same energy, that it's just a matter of where I'm redirecting the energy. So am I just an educator? No, I'm not an educator. I mean, I'm not just an educator. Yes, I love education, but I love teaching. I love the art of teaching. It's an art. I love the art of teaching discipline through the music or through the dance. And I love, you know, and it's all tied together because it's me. It's all me. It's just me redirecting, you know, the creativity and the energy and the passion and the love and that place of purpose in different directions, but it's still the same, you know, it's the same, it's me. So when I'm here right now, I'm in a rehearsal, I'm doing music right now, preparing for, you know, a big old Christmas production. And just a couple of hours ago, I was at work, you know, preparing for, you know, at school and preparing for tomorrow, you know, to receive the kids. But it's all the same. It's like, it's not different. And I think that's important when you know, are able to take, you know, they say you have your vocation and you have your avocation, but when the two become one, you know, when you are doing what you do, not because you're trying to get a paycheck or you're trying to, you know, you support yourself financially, but you're doing what you do because you love what you do, because you're passionately called to do what you do. It doesn't matter where you are, you're still doing what you do. And it's amazing. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Alarm here. And the output is amazing, you know, and you don't get tired. That's the crazy thing. Like, I don't get tired. I just redirect in a different space and keep on going, you know. So I'm, you know, if this gets, then I just redirect in another space, and when it's time, I redirect to the other space. And it's I don't know, something called crazy. Yeah, maybe I am crazy, but it's working. It's working, and I love it.
Put it in a bottle. I want some of that crazy. The word that stuck out to me, which you only mentioned once, was discipline. And it seems to me that if you love to teach the discipline, you must have been fascinated by your own process of learning discipline. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I have learned to redefine my understanding of discipline. You know, discipline is not, it's not meant, it should never be purposed to be uncomfortable or to make one uncomfortable. Discipline is the necessary bridge between thought and accomplishment. Discipline is the bridge between where we are, if we are right here in this space, and where we desire to be when we leave this place, this space. where we, whatever that next level is going to be, whatever that next assignment is going to be. The only thing that's going to get us there is discipline. So we're taught to not want, we don't want to be disciplined. We don't want to be, no, we need to love discipline. Because discipline is what you build, you must protect. Suffer the pain of discipline. Because there is a level of discomfort. Suffer the pain of discipline, or you'll suffer the pain of regret. Discipline protects the very thing that we're building. And that's what I teach my kids. That's what I teach the Nubian Gents. That's what I'm teaching when I'm on stage here at Christian Cultural Center. It's discipline. It's about making decisions that are going to propel you towards the promise of the future. And that discipline protects the very thing you're building. Those decisions, one crazy decision can tear down and destroy everything that you spent years building. What keeps you from making that one decision? Discipline.
Did you see that in your life?
Yeah, I definitely have seen it. Definitely have seen the effects of a poor decision. Definitely have felt the feeling of regret, which for me is that's hell. That's definitely like, when you think of all the things that you could have done, all the places that you could have seen, the people that you could have touched, if you had only submitted to discipline, what you lost, and I don't want to ever, I don't like experiencing loss in that respect. Now granted, there's certain loss that you're going to experience, you have no say-so over. It's going to happen. It's a part of life, the ebb and flow. But then there's certain things that you lose because of a lack of discipline. And rolling that, oh man, that's uncomfortable. That's painful. And that's what I don't want. It's so funny. I'm the type of person, like, I have this bag and I have everything in my bag. Like, I carry everything in my bag because I always want to be prepared for whatever's going to happen during the course of the day. And I don't want to get this, oh man, I left that at home. I should have, I'd have had it. Think about that in terms of life. Accumulating those things in life, that resources, lessons, relationships, and everything, so that when, that moment happens, or when you need to call upon it or tap upon that place of creativity and respond to something because there's a need, and you want to respond, and you desire to respond, you feel compelled to respond, and then having it, as opposed to not having it, and just watching this person man, I could have helped this person. I could have. Wow.
Are you thinking of something in particular?
I'm thinking of a moment when I definitely wasn't prepared. Yes.
Do you want to share it, or is it private?
Oftentimes people, yeah. Oftentimes people miss opportunities because it's too much work, or they're just fearful. My situation was fear. Fear has the capacity to just sort of paralyze you and keep you from acting. And there was a student that I had early on in my career who was reaching out, and I don't think I was ready to respond and be anything more than what I thought, or at least what my assignment was, which was a teacher. You look back on those situations, you're like, man, I really wish that I had been more. Like, I really wish that I had strived to be more. This particular young man, he ended up taking his life. Things like that you just never forget. And it was crazy because he had gotten a report card, and was dissatisfied with his grades and didn't want to go home, went to a park, and killed himself in the park, on a park bench. So,
My condolences to you for that loss.
yeah.
And thank you for sharing that story with us. It's a powerful and a sad story. I'm sorry you went through that.
Mm. Yeah.
You have
Right.
since created something called the Nubian Gents, no doubt, as a way of making sure that when people reach out, you have somewhere for them to go.
Decided I needed to be more.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I needed to be more. So the Nubian Gents was a way that I could be more. First, you know, to these young men that were my students at that point in time, and you know, and some of them came with, I mean, they all came with different things that they needed, and I just, you know, I was like, you know, I just want to, you know, give me what I need in order to be more for them, you know. And, yeah.
Well,
we're going to put it's a great phenomenon.
Talk about who they are and what they do. We're going to put a link in the comments to a video so people can see who they are. But why don't you talk about, first of all, maybe how you got the idea, why Nubian, what do they do?
The Nubian Gents they are a step team, in stepping, you know, the rhythmic dancing and so forth. But we just took it beyond that. It became more than just a step team. It was a performance ensemble that centered around training young men to be, you know, to be fathers, to be husbands, to be, you know, positive contributors to the community, to be leaders. Leaders, we said leaders of worship and warriors of praise and leaders of worship. So it was a training ground. It's still a training ground. And I met these guys. It was an after-school program that just sort of evolved. And before you knew it, we were traveling all around the world, different countries, having, you know, just amazing conversations with young people and just letting them know just how amazingly gifted and wonderfully made they are. It's a great, great, great group of young men, and ultimately with feminine fire, great group of young women.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us, is there a story you can tell us in particular of someone or maybe a couple people where you saw the transformation that you perhaps were looking for?
Oh man, there were so many stories, which is amazing. You know, yeah, there was one that just pops into my mind. A young man. It's funny. He was a student and just a really, really, really challenging disposition. He just was giving his family a lot of issues. Wasn't going to school, and I remember I would leave school to go and get him in the morning to wake him up to get him to school. And I remember one day. It's crazy. One day I'm at his house and trying to get him up, and he's just going and he's trying to close the door to his bedroom to keep me from getting in. And I'm pushing the door, and the door broke. And I ended up like cutting myself with the door, but I was like still, you know, blood running. I'm like, don't, we're gonna go. And I ended up, I brought him to school, kicking and screaming, and his name was Philip Holder. And it was just amazing. I think our relationship went to a whole other level after that experience. But you talk about a success story. I mean, today he is in banking. Like, I mean, he has like one of these powerful positions in banking, and he's thriving. You know, if it's not him, it's Carl Antoine thriving also in banking, or it's Delano Brissett, who now works for Google, or Demi Janot, who has his own business, you know, and is trying to, you know, conglomerize Amazon, you know, that type of thing. I mean, these guys are really doing just amazing things, man. You know, globally. Some have relocated to some of the countries that we traveled with, and are, you know, working and living and, you know, raising their families there. Some have remained local. Shannon Watson here has his own restaurant, you know, jerk things. I mean, it's just yeah, it's just amazing to see how everything begins as a seed and then grows into an experience. It's just a matter of what the ground is surrounding that seed that will help kind of propel it to the experience that it should be. And these are the Gents are seeds, man, and they've grown and are bringing back an amazing return. You know, so I'm really thankful for that.
Do you direct the women as well, or are you simply the leader of that group with a woman leading it?
That was interesting. Yeah, that process was interesting. Initially I said to myself, you know, I can't, you know, I know I know there's a need. I just don't think I'm the one that actually needs. So I got some of the, you know, women that I know that are serving and doing different things to kind of come in and serving at the church here, volunteering and all that stuff, to come in and sort of help teach the young ladies and so forth. And you know, it was moderately effective and successful, but at the end of the day, I think what the young ladies wanted was, they wanted that sort of father-daughter exchange. And what, you know, what can come from that and what can happen from that. They wanted to spend time with me. They wanted to connect with me. They wanted to see me valuing them as much as I was valuing the Gents, the guys. And I learned very, you know, it was a very uncomfortable day when I said, you know what, I've been doing this wrong. I really need to be more active and more present with them in their process of discipleship, their process of growth and maturation, you know, in spite of the fact that they were young women. So, yeah.
Thank you. That's cool. You've talked a lot about other people's development and how you've been able to facilitate that, but you're still a musician. What are you doing?
Well, I am still making music. I'm still recording music. I'm still involved in music. I love music, any kind of music, as long as it's swinging. All the joy of the singing. No, I'm still very much. I consider myself very much to be a musician. I am recording. I have a couple of projects that I've released more recently. I kind of put down the writing for a while, but I picked it back up again. And it's been really great. I've aligned myself with William Bausch from Oberlin. I don't know if you remember Beaver, the drummer.
Yeah.
So we've been writing some tunes, man, and just loving it. He's great. He's absolutely amazing, man. He's a man, and he has a great heart. And you know, it's so funny because we're like very different, but yet still very similar.
Yeah.
Very much alike. We're brothers. And I've made some really great, written some really great pieces.
So yeah, you give so much of your energy to other people, and you so understand the need. Does it feel selfish when you're working on your own stuff?
Yeah, it does. Yep, definitely. You nailed that. Yeah, folks say too. You said, "Well, you're gonna just release a CD and everything like that." And I'm just like, I'll just do a single every now and then. That's it. You know what? I love the music and I love sharing the music. I just don't like promoting myself.
Okay.
I just
you
don't.
and I are going to have a long talk after this, because me too.
But I'm serious. It's just not comfortable for me. Yeah. You know, I put the songs up. It takes me so much to even put the song up on you know, like on my Facebook page or whatever it may be. I just don't. I would love to, like, you know, say, hey, you know, you want to go play, go do a live performance somewhere, share the music. Yeah, let's do it. But I'm promoting myself. And I think it's because I don't know. I don't know. I'll promote you. I'll promote you.
Well, do you feel like there's a way in which you could create a product that would be of need to someone that you would feel more comfortable promoting? If it wasn't just, I'm Lamont O'Neil and I sing and I write, but this is something that perhaps will help you, or, this is music that will feed your soul. Would you be more comfortable promoting that?
Yeah, I definitely would. Yeah, I definitely would, because that's the purpose behind even doing the music. I guess where I get kind of entangled is where, I'm gonna get a lot of people. I'm gonna get you in trouble, Adam. You're like, why you have this cat on the show?
Go ahead.
But my whole thing is when I have to sell the music, I think. And maybe that's because it's not, I got other things happening, so it's not like a full-time gig for me, and I'm not necessarily trying to use this as my primary source of income, that type of thing. And I much respect to those musicians that are doing it and putting that grind in. And it's not to take away anything from that. Hey, hit me up. I'll support you. It's more so just me. Like, folk are like, oh, I want to hear your song. Oh, okay, cool. I'll send it to you. And I literally will like send them the MP3 or send them whatever it is. I email it to them. And then I'm like, no, why don't you just send them to the website, send them to iTunes, or send them to Amazon, whatever, let them purchase it. I'm just like, yeah, but they wanted it.
That's fascinating to me. That is fascinating to me. I mean, just thinking back to how wonderfully accessible you were as a performer when I saw you years ago. How I was just drawn to you. People are drawn to you, and this true as a faith leader, as a worship leader, and yet you don't like that in your music so much. Well, thanks, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time.
We're working it out. We're a work in progress, right? It's a process. Ebb and flow.
Right. I think the answer is, while you appear to be a man who really has a lot of answers, it seems like you're still really looking. You got a lot of questions still to answer.
Oh yeah. Blissfully so. I definitely haven't arrived, and I think that's good, because I guess when I've arrived, then check out, I'm gone to you. Now, so it's good to know that I'm still on the journey, and the wonder of it is not the end. It's always the process, what you get in the journey. So along the way. So yeah, I'm still on my journey.
Well,
and who knows? I might change. Who knows? Something might happen that actually might change my perspective on that, but that's where I am right now.
Well, we're going to try to change it right now. What would you like to share with our audience? What do you want them to go?
You mean like something that I've written you're about to play?
I'm not going to play it, but where can they go to hear it if they'd like
to? Oh, where can they go? Lord, bro, you're going to put that on me? Wasn't ready for that one. It's on, I guess my music is on every major outlet, I guess. You just search my name.
Lamont
Spotify. Yep, Spotify. YouTube, of course. Not supposed to say that, but Amazon, iTunes, any major sort of musical platform, you'll find the music that myself and William Bausch have written, and enjoy.
And if people want to check out the Nubian Gents or the Feminine Fire, how can they find them?
Our probably the best. COVID sort of changed a lot of things in the landscape. So there is a Facebook page, I know that, and www.nubiangents.org. I believe is still a domain that we have access to, that's still working. So they can contact you to contact me. Here you go.
Okay, we'll do that too.
But yeah, we things have slowed down a bit. We're trying to get our momentum back up. We worked primarily out of the school system. So now that things have changed in the landscape of the school, we're trying to find a new space and place in the Queens area where we're, where we reside, to sort of a new base. So it's going to take a little bit of time, I believe, but we'll be back up in motion soon enough. And we're looking to travel abroad this summer. We haven't done that in a minute because of COVID, so we're hoping to be able to go to Australia this summer. So,
Lamont O'Neil, I want to thank you for agreeing to this interview. Thank you for the depths that you shared with us. You really opened yourself up.
Deep. We went deep. I didn't think we were going to go. I didn't know what to expect. We went deep from like the first 20 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
And I couldn't have done it without you going there. And I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You have long been an inspiration to me, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Adam, man. It's good to see you, man. Great to see you.
Good to see you too. And also, we want to say thank you to the audience. It's good to see you too. We have a lot of other interviews. So if you liked this one, check out our interview with Mother's Finest, 3-part interview with that fantastic band. We got Sean Mullins we interviewed. We've also got artists and creatives, other people besides music, but we're after the truth. And if you are interested in the truth, please subscribe to our videos and like our videos. You can contact me at adam@willowschoolga.com. We want to see you back here. So please, folks, join us again. And thank you very much.